bounces so much because it's not stable.
Are you recording?
Platform. Not yet.
Okay.
When we get there, I will. It's only the audio one I really have to hit, so that's the one I should focus on. I guess let's make sure the levels are good.
Oh, what am I reading?
Balance 7.
Yeah, but it says host read and conversation from host, specifically the athlete. Oh, it's on getting older. Athlete.
Yeah,
you can see up balance 7.
I'm not a big fan of how they do theirs.
Right.
Because you have to.
How much do I read?
Make the sentence make sense. Here, let me look at this one because I haven't looked at that one. I haven't looked at either of these. I've been busy. Feel free.
You already know I hear you. Head to balance7.com and use the code. I mean, it's not real clear cut on what exactly I am supposed to read.
You read that first paragraph.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about how pH balancing helps, like your body, and then you read the yellow last.
Okay.
Just how products like Balance 7. You don't have to say you used Balance 7.
All right, cool. When do you plan on doing this?
I clicked the button. Plan on doing what?
Reading these.
Right away. So, are you ready?
Indeed, I am.
Aye, aye, Captain.
Always ready. You can go first.
Welcome, sports fans. Thanks for tapping into some Untapped Keg Sports, which is presented by Bet Online. It's that time of year again, and all eyes are now turning to football as teams are back on the gridiron to start the football season. As always, Bet Online is your number one spot for all the pro and college football action this season. Get all the updated odds, props, and contests, including online's biggest $500,000 NFL Mega Contest and the world's largest $200,000 NFL Survivor Contest, open now at Bet Online. Head to the website or use your mobile device to sign up today to receive your 100% welcome bonus. Take advantage of their opening day super promo. Equals make a bet on the Thursday, September 9th season opener between the Super Bowl champ Bucks and Cowboys. If you lose, your wager will be refunded up to $25 for new customers, only when signing up and using promo code NFL100. Bet Online is the fastest and easiest way to bet all your favorite sports. Bet Online, your online sportsbook experts. This podcast is also brought to you by...
Oh, yeah. Well, I thought you were going to do the intro for me, guys. Well, of course, I'm Monte Ball, but yeah, this podcast is also brought to you part by Balance 7. So, I don't know if you heard, but apparently former NBA player Lamar Odom may be returning to professional basketball in Spain soon. He's been taking a new product he owes the credit to, and that's Balance 7. Balance 7 is a pH balancing alkaline supplement drink. That is pretty cool. pH balance is actually very important. Being a former athlete, that was something at Wisconsin that we really harped on, and even in Denver as well with the Broncos, is getting that pH balance right, just so that your muscles are firing all at the same time, and obviously so that you are hydrated to the right degree, in a sense. But it's a really great product, you guys. You really should check it out. And you can see how Balance 7 has helped. Check out their website. Some of these guys have looked really good who have been utilizing this product. Head to balance7.com and use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, for shipping. Free shipping, that is. Balance7.com and use the code BELIEVE for free shipping.
Thank you for tapping into some Untapped Keg Sports podcast where myself, RJ Zimmerman, and Mr. Monte Ball talk about all things Wisconsin sports and a little bit of Denver Broncos. We try to go into different sports that we enjoy, trying to bring our personal opinions to it. And tell me, Mr. Ball with the nose for the end zone, how have you been feeling this week?
Oh my goodness. We're still trying to iron out, obviously, the introduction with these ads. It's tricky. It's a bit tricky, a little bumpy right now because we're obviously trying to figure out how to implement it smoothly and early in the episode. But my week has been very emotional, very, very emotional for many, many reasons. One main reason we're going to get into here on the show, that being obviously the Badgers and their upcoming game, of course. But also, man, you, my family, my sister, my nephews taking off, leaving the state of Wisconsin. And so it's been one emotional and tiresome week. How about yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if you're watching the video right now, you can probably tell from the audio. It's a little echoey. Well, I'm in a room that's not set up yet. We've been in Virginia for almost 48 hours. So we're not quite where we want to be as far as setup. And, I got to get a new desk and get that in here and everything. But I'm tired. I tell you what, we started driving at 9 p.m. to miss the traffic going through Chicago. And we didn't stop till we got to Cleveland, and I took a 40-minute nap and then took the two kids and let them run around. And then about 2 hours later, we're back on the road, and we put on another about 6 hours on the road. So that was a long day. And then yesterday was our first day here. So then it was unload the U-Haul, get that turned in. And then today is just unpacking and figuring out how we want to get everything. But it's different. It's different in a good way. I'm enjoying it a lot.
Good. Good.
Feel free. But I'm definitely going to be missing the ease of finding my Wisconsin sports. That we'll find out how that goes this weekend. We just got internet today at 1 p.m. Eastern time, so noon for you, and that was nice. It's good. It's great internet, but I don't have a TV set up yet, so I don't know how TV is going to be, if I'm going to still be able to get that Wisconsin channels, because that's where the YouTube is set up, or if I'm going to have to try to find a way to watch the Packers and Badgers. So we'll see how that goes. But speaking of the Badgers, let's talk about that game last weekend. Let's talk about Saturday and what we saw.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Technically, I guess this is the first sportscast that we're doing, right? Since the game.
Correct. Everybody should check out our latest sobriety podcast, which is awesome, by the way. We talk about fandoms and their effect on mental health.
Yeah.
Positive and negative. So, go check that out either on YouTube or your listening podcast platform under just Untapped Keg.
Indeed.
Indeed. But we'll cover a little bit, and then we'll get into our meat of this subject.
Absolutely. Yes. So, last Saturday, Badgers played Penn State's opening game to the season, to Camp Randall Stadium, to Big Ten football, at least for us, that being the Badgers. And it was not a great performance whatsoever. And when I say great performance, it wasn't even it wasn't even a mediocre performance. It wasn't. And for so long we've been obviously harping on the negatives, but I also want to get into the positives, and we'll get into that, of course. But just in case if folks didn't hear us last time, it was just poor performance from quarterback play, offensive line, quarterback center exchange. And sometime maybe possibly special teams for sure. Possibly play calling. We do not know because maybe it'll be a great call if it was effective. But I think what needs to happen, I think to help out Mertz, and I'm jumping right into it because the play calling really got me on it, is I think that we need to start to see a lot more motions so that Mertz can get that pre-snap read. Obviously, if it's zone or man, because it seems like once we did do that, a couple times that we did do that, it seems like it was a productive play when we had that motion, giving him those pre-snap reads. So there just needs to be more adjustments made on the offensive side of the ball because it's not looking good. It's just not. Now, quickly, my opinion on the positives. Obviously, the run game was good. It was good. 31 for 125. It was good in a touchdown. It can be better, of course, but that's obviously something that we can build on. And obviously Danny Davis's leadership as well in his play on the field, 8 catches for 99 yards. We can most definitely build on that as well too. So we got the players, the pieces, and I think that's just what makes it that much more frustrating.
And Jake Ferguson as well had a really nice game.
Yes.
The defense in general played really well. It was really 2 big plays. That was it. Right. If you're going through an entire game and you give up 2 big plays and that's it, I'm sorry. You should win that game. It's one of those games where you shoot yourself in the foot. And I'm glad you mentioned the offensive line because that offensive line was sad to watch. It was not what you expect. So when you hear Wisconsin football team, you expect an offensive line that's going to get push, that's going to control the point of attack and give your quarterback some time, right? There was none of that. Pass protection, run blocking, they were terrible on both fronts. When they were just straight, man for man blocking, they could do nothing. The only way that they could get holes, especially inside the 20 in the red zone, was trapping and pulling, which is not good if you have to do both to open up holes. So that's something that we saw. We saw a lot of I would say vanilla play calling. I don't think they were helped out by how vanilla it was, but the defense played really good. And when you are playing, knowing you have to make a play to help your offense out based on what was happening, that's when you give up big plays, and that's exactly what happened. So, one thing a week out is it's 1 week. It's the first week. You lose by 1 score where you had a chance to tie it twice at the end of the game and possibly win it. You had a field goal blocked. Okay, there's things. You shot yourself in the foot constantly. So
red zone offense,
right?
Red zone offense.
You didn't lose. You didn't get blown out of the water, and this is exactly what we talked about last week that we were worried about seeing against Penn State. Penn State was going to have good linebackers. They were going to have a really good front seven.
Always.
And then their defensive backs played perfectly fine. So, but the route trees, how much did the route trees frustrate you? And we talked about the spacing as well. There was a couple times in the red zone where there were 3 yards between receivers running the same route. And it's like somebody's not got their proper depth. And or they do, and that's just really poor play design. So there's a lot of issues there. And then, we have to talk about it, and that's quarterback development. And that's where I want to get into the state of the Wisconsin football program and where we're heading. So we know they went 0-1. We know it's disappointing this year because they had high expectations. They had a decent ranking coming in. It was a little higher than you and I thought. I feel like where they're ranked now is where they should have started, which is 18th. last year was a really disappointing season. And part of the reason it was so disappointing was because of the hot start. And seeing the lack of development at the quarterback position and seeing him play like a freshman still after 3 years in the system, how does that make you feel about the program as a whole of Wisconsin football?
You asking me?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I can tell you straight out that if we sit back and try to think about a quarterback that has developed from, like you said, freshman year to senior year, I can't think of one. I really can't, at all. And I think that, and then the question comes into play is okay. So then, is it coaching? Is it the coaching? Is it the coaching? And here's my thing. I sort of hate getting to this conversation about the coaching just because I got a special place in my heart for Coach Chris. He's an awesome human being. Obviously, my lived experience playing the game of football with him was remarkable. So that's what I remember, of course. But again, I guess those 4 years are, he's been there now for head coach for 5, probably 4.
Let's look at it.
Is his time
it's longer than you think?
Right? Is his time running out? Is the question. Because again, we sit here and we talk about the offensive line. We sit here and talk about the quarterback play. We sit here and talk about X, Y, and Z. But is it the coaching?
2015. So you're looking at 6
years. Yeah. That's it. Let me putting my feelings to the side here and looking at this from the standpoint of, does this program need to make a change? I think this is a massive year, colossal year for the state of Wisconsin football. I really do. And I don't want to make it super dramatic, of course, but let's be honest here. When is the last time we've been good?
That's where we are. Like, we don't want to be
Right.
want to be superlative, right? We don't just want to throw them around. That's something that we try to avoid. But
when is the last time we've been good? We've had good running backs. We've had great running backs. And what else?
Yeah, I mean, we've had, like you said, great, but like possibly the GOAT.
Yeah.
And then you have Danny Davis like showing out, Quintez Cephas, Kendrick Pryor on the outside. Jake Ferguson, this is what, his 5th, 6th year. My problem is, and here's where I want to get into it. Does Wisconsin football want to compete with Iowa, or do they want to compete with Ohio State? Do they want to compete with Minnesota, or do they want to compete on a level with Alabama?
Right. It's easy. That's an easy answer right now.
That's the level we want to see as fans, as you and I, where we are coming from. We want to see competition with Ohio State. We want to see competition getting to the playoffs, and not just one and done, right? Not just a big run, but like getting it and replicating success. So you see, like, we talk about developing a quarterback, and we don't just mean on the field getting better. We mean behind the scenes, practice, scout team, you get better every single year. So if your starting quarterback goes down, you're not dead in the water. Right? Mm-hmm. So you look at a few years ago, Big Ten championship game. What happens? Ohio State loses their quarterback. Cardale Jones comes in and just lights the world on fire, right?
Yep.
And you did all that development in practice. Same thing with Alabama. Here's some similarities with Alabama, right? You have Tua Tagovailoa coming behind Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts gets hurt. Tua comes in, absolutely lights the world on fire. Looks like the better quarterback. So they go with Tua, move on from Hurts, and
Jalen leaves.
Jack Cohn, and Graham Mertz, something similar,
Ooh.
right? That's a little
That's a good
similar
take.
decision.
Mm-hmm.
The only problem is you haven't seen the development in Mertz that you would see from a development in Tua. And part of that is the recruits that Wisconsin has and the speed on the outside. Obviously, Alabama gets nothing but pretty much 5-star recruits, and they do their development is on a different level at all positions. So why can't you have that at Wisconsin? Like, what's holding us back? You know, we heard a good take on ESPN Wisconsin talking about recruiting, like how much you're putting into recruiting. And that's something that you've talked about, and assistant coaches as well. How much are you willing to pay assistant coaches?
Exactly.
Let me tell you, what does Jim Leonard want? Does Jim Leonard want, prime farmland in Iowa County? All right, back up the truck, get it for him. Like, whatever Jim Leonard wants, you need to keep that person here, whether he is the head coach or whatever you need. That's a coach that you need to keep. But
try to take some notes, man, because I had something to say, but it was like 5 minutes ago.
Right.
So
I hear what you mean. Like that's something that we need to get better at too, because I feel like we get squirreled a lot. But this is something you and I just driving in a truck having conversations about, just having dinner having conversations about. We've honestly been talking about it for a year and a half.
Yes, let me jump in.
So go ahead.
Yeah, it's because I wanted to say something when you were talking about like what us fans are expecting, what we want. And obviously every single program's fans are expecting that. We're spoiled. We're expecting for the Badgers to want to compete with the Wild State. We're expecting for the Badgers to compete in the Big Ten championship game and win in advance. Of course, that's what we want. But it's. But again, we remove the emotions from it and we look at the team. We should not be playing as poorly as we are.
Mm-hmm.
That's what makes it that much more frustrating. Eastern Michigan is not saying, hey, let's go win the national championship this year. They understand that they're not going to make it to the national championship. Obviously, again, us Badger fans are spoiled. But again, when you look at the positions, look at the players' names on paper at each position: Pryor, Davis, Ferguson, Chaz, and even Isaac back there. And Mertz is not a terrible quarterback. He can manage.
He's perfect.
We shouldn't be that poor. We shouldn't be. Yeah, exactly. That's what makes me so much more upset, because we shouldn't be. We looked like we did not belong on a football field last week, because I told you this, RJ, when I sat and watched the games at night, I was like, wow, there is a just glaring difference in talent, speed, confidence, utilization, all of the above. Utilization for sure. And so I just wanted to chime in with that, because I just want for people to obviously know, you and I both know that, yeah, we're always going to be crossing our fingers and hoping that the Badgers make it to the Big Ten. But we should not be as poor as we are right now.
And isn't that part of the issue, is that we have to cross our fingers and hope they make the Big Ten championship? Like, and then what I wanted to say before that was, when you talk about them playing slow and, like you watch the night games and you're like, wow, is that on just the offensive side, or is that also on the defensive side? Do you feel that way? Because I felt like the defense was flying. So
yeah, offense for me is
I agree.
I'm heavily offense, obviously, and just the offensive play just seemed just lethargic.
Yep.
In a sense, it just seems
stuck in mud.
Yeah, it's like, this football is not going to work anymore. That's just what it is. The game has changed. The game has changed, and why are we taking so long to change with it? That's what it is. The game has changed, and we are taking a very long time to adjust, and it's starting to show.
And that's interesting, because Gary Anderson wanted to change the Badger program.
He did.
There was a
Well,
little
that's how he
bit
got
of
forced
some-
out.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's a little bit of kicking and screaming from up above him that wasn't allowing it to happen. I mean, that's why you brought in a Tanner McAvoy to maybe start over a Joel Stavi then. But you know, one thing that we see right now with the utilization of players, we just talked about it, route trees being so basic. It's almost like a Vanderbilt or a Wake Forest triple option kind of a run game that they run instead of, more of a, how do I want to say it? Like,
I have a question for you on this too.
Scheme. Go ahead.
My question to you is, because I agree with you on the route trees as well, but is it possible? And again, and I don't know the answer, but is it possible that the route trees are what they are because Mertz doesn't have enough time?
But my only issue with that is if he doesn't have enough time, why are you not running different bootleg plays? Every time they run a bootleg, it's the same play, right? Why are you not running? You have two wide receivers running pick plays. Why are you not running bubble screens? Draws. There's a lot of things that you can do to help Mertz get some more time that you're not doing.
Play action,
right?
Play action from the gun.
And
I mean,
that's why I think, I don't know if it's because that's all Mertz can handle. Maybe it's all the receivers can handle, right?
Sure.
We don't know that because we're not in the room. But
right.
One thing I can say is what you're doing is not working. So change it up.
That is true. That is true. And again, we don't want to sound like some negative Nancy's here, and we're Badger fans, of course, and we just expect better. Because we know that there is better. We should not have lost that game. We should not have. When you look at their stats, I mean, our defense shut down their run game. Their run game was pretty much just non-existent, 48 yards, I think it was the total. And so I think the percentage is something like if you keep a running back at around 50 yards, I mean, you have a really great chance of winning the game. Don't know exactly, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, and it's not just that they lost, and it's not necessarily how they lost. It's that last year, this is just a continuation. And we talked about that on the last cast, previewing this game. Basically, everything we feared came true. And it was almost like they didn't expect Penn State to have these defensive ends and linebackers that were All-American, because you're going to have one of them be an All-American, guaranteed, and another one who's probably going to be second team. Like, they had a very good front seven. They're going to wreak havoc against Ohio State. I mean, they're going to do it all year. So, that's why this feels so different, is because it's not just that you were knocking on the door for so long. It's a continuation of last year.
That's a really good point too, is because that's a really good point that people really need to remember as well. Why the taste is lingering still from Penn State, us losing to Penn State, is because has it gone away? Has it gone away since last year?
So, we're talking about developing players, and you see it at the linebacker position, for example, or you could see it at the tight end position. These players in practice are getting better. So when they get into a game, they're able to play like they do in practice.
Right.
I don't know what they do with the quarterbacks, but let me tell you, they need to be harder on them because they are not developing along with the rest of the team. And that's holding this team back. That's why everybody's so hard on Mertz right now. That's why everybody's so hard on the coaching staff. And then you watch the Sunday night, Jack Cohn, the former starting quarterback of the Badgers, just light it up. And you watch.
Sorry, good. Yeah,
I was gonna say, you watch the players, the way that they get the hands in their playmakers, the ball in the hands of the playmakers, and let them.
Right.
You watch Cone make throws that he wouldn't make in a Badger system because he's not allowed to make those throws. And it's like, okay, it is a philosophy issue and maybe not a player issue.
Possible, man. It really is possible because, yeah, watching Cone play, he just seemed way more relaxed, and he's just really just holding himself better. Like, yeah, he's a lot more confident. You can clearly see it just looking at his face. I mean, when he was in the Badgers uniform, it seemed like he was always just a deer in headlights. It really looked like that all the time with him. Like he had that just like glazed over look of some sort. I don't even know how to replicate it, but watching him play against Florida State, I would not put it this way. You take away the last name off of his jersey, I would not have thought that was Jack Cohn at all. Like at all. And so is it a philosophy problem? That's a pretty direct example right there.
I mean, that's the thing is, you don't always get this kind of case study, right? You don't always get to see this.
Right.
The player leaving to go to another system, and then you see how they played in the old system, how they're playing in the new system. Like, you know, all you heard the year Cone started 2 years ago was how good Mertz was looking in practice, right? Like, right. Mertz is going to be the real deal. Like, Cone is playing well, but just wait till you see Graham Mertz. Graham Mertz comes in because Jack Cohn hurts his knee last year, starts in game one, and just lights up the world. Makes all the right reads, all the right throws, pinpoint accuracy. Then COVID happens. Season derails for everybody. Specifically, Mertz just did not look like the same player. 6 games into his starting career. 7, maybe. That's where we are right now. It's crazy to think that this is going to be his 8th start on Saturday, and it already feels like we're giving up on him. I mean, he's what, 21?
True.
But at the same time, he's been in the system for 3 years. Like, we're drawing arbitrary lines, but there has to be a line somewhere. That he's still, what is he, a sophomore? But technically a junior at this point.
Mm-hmm. Right? Red shirt sophomore.
So we changed the red shirt rules. So how he gets to practice with the team is completely different than a few years ago.
Right.
We gotta see a lot more. Like, he still was reacting and not anticipating. He was still staring down where he was going to throw the ball, and
like a confidence.
You see it every once in a while when he uncorks one on that drive to get him near it before he fumbled.
Right.
Like, dude, every pass was great, and yeah, Danny Davis made an amazing catch, laying his body out, all fingertips. Jake Ferguson makes a really good catch, and then you fumble the snap, and it just ruins everything almost. But the first interception he threw, the second interception, I'm not going to put on him. But that first one, if he throws it to the outside instead of throwing it to Ferguson, it might be incomplete, or it might be a touchdown. He had a one-on-one out there, and he threw it into triple coverage. It didn't even look at the defense, just dropped back and floated it up there and hope.
Yeah.
I don't know if they said, because they took a timeout before that, if they were like, throw it to Ferguson, that's where we want it, or if that's what he just decided he was going to do pre-snap, but that's what he decided he was going to do, and that's what they did. So I don't know what I'm just kind of talking myself into circles here, that I don't like the state of the Wisconsin football program. I've had a few friends texting me for about 3 years now that they don't like Paul Chryst's offense, that they think he's holding the program back. And the reason that I take their word seriously is they sounded the alarm on Mike McCarthy 4 years before he finally got let go. Like, he was early on that, and it's like, okay, yep. So now we're kind of seeing the same thing. We're kind of seeing the complacency. And by complacency is you're fine with where you're at, so you're not doing anything to get better, which makes you get worse, which makes bad things happen. Like last Saturday, the sluggishness. You're going to come out and be that sluggish with that many fans there, that much energy, and you can't get up to play.
Right.
Ooh.
I wanted to touch on what you stated earlier about Merce in the 8 games. To me, I get it. You know what I mean? And we do preach about that obviously on our Sunday show as well. Where again, let's remember that, you know, these are kids. These are kids. They got a lot going on. They're student athletes. They got a lot going on. We get that. But I got 2 questions. Here's the thing: is 8 games truly enough? In my opinion, I think 8 games is enough. 8 starts is enough time to grow, or to build, stack the games, in a sense, build some consistency. I think there's plenty enough time to at least to adapt. 8 full starts is a lot of clock, in a sense. And obviously, we have to understand too, this is a what have you done for me lately business. Unfortunately, it just is. We can't be playing the way that we're playing. Mercy cannot be playing the way that he's playing if he wants to obviously make it to the next level. My second point. Lost my train of thought that fast on my second point. but it's just I think 8 games is enough, man. I really do. I think 8 games is enough time to get settled in, especially when you talk about obviously the many years that he's been under this system.
Right.
And you get 8 full starts. I think that is enough time to develop. But again, I can't just dump it all on him. It's the O-line. There's many things that went wrong. And also, we have to give credit, just like you did earlier, to Penn State. Penn State's not a program that you can just waltz over. You just can't. They play very sound football. They make you make mistakes, and they capitalize on your mistakes. That's just how Penn State's been. Very sound football. Not flashy, just sound football. They're going to be in their gaps, period. Maybe we just should not have scheduled that game for this season. Because I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Maybe 5-6 games down the road, if we played them again, we'd probably beat them.
Maybe. If they get better, starting in this game.
True.
So let's get to this game real quick. Well, first, where do you see the state of the Wisconsin program right now?
Yeah. To end this segment, I stated it, man. I think this is a very, very important year for the football program. I do, because again, my question is, when have we really been good? Not good as in beating Eastern Michigan, beating BYU, beating Iowa, or beating Minnesota, beating Purdue. When have we been good? It's been a very long time. It has. Since like 2014, 2013. It's been a long time. So I think this is a very important year for the Badgers football program. I think this year they have to do well. I really do. Or I think they're going to get a lot of fans, which they already have now, but a lot of more fans are going to be just as much as disappointed. And I think they're going to, who knows, lose even more primetime slots. It's just that bad right now. It's that bad, though. We can't even staff the football. So again, I don't want to beat a dead horse, because I'm a Badger fan. I know maybe we turn it around, maybe we don't. But I think we've covered some great points where it's like, is the development really there? We talk about it all the time with the program, but is it really happening with that one position?
Well, I think it's offensive line too. I think your offensive line has been steadily in decline since you've been in school, which was a decade ago. It has. We have not had a good offensive line since you left, to be honest.
Right.
There's been a couple good offensive linemen, but as a whole,
as a unit, right?
I mean, it was your sophomore year, I think, was the last really good offensive line. Otherwise, it's just been perfectly fine, and they've been living off of the reputation that was set before them. So
Yeah.
one thing that I told you last week is maybe they need to think about putting Bob Bostad back in charge of the offensive line, because let me tell you, he's doing miracles with them linebackers. So maybe he can go back, because
I'm telling you,
they need it starts up front. And when you cannot run in between the guards, you can only, and then even you can't even get off tackle, because how many times did Malusi get hit in the backfield? It was a lot. There were a lot of negative run plays. So, and that starts up front.
Yeah,
That's not play calling. So there's a lot of questions that need to be answered, and you're not going to find them against Eastern Michigan. I'm sorry.
But if I'm Eastern Michigan,
more disappointment. It's not going to answer anything until you play Notre Dame.
Right, but if I'm Eastern Michigan, I'm looking at my chops right now, though.
Yeah, absolutely, for sure.
Look at my chops. They're gonna get a paycheck, of course. I'm just playing us.
The only thing this game's gonna teach us is if they lose, because if they win by 70, that tells us nothing. If they win by 40, it tells us nothing. If they win by 20, if they win by 6, if they win by 3, it tells us nothing about this team. But if they lose, it does tell us a lot.
That's so true. The Badgers have a lot to lose this upcoming game.
And that's where we are as fans.
And Eastern Michigan has
analysts. You're not going to learn anything from this week.
No, and Eastern Michigan has just a lot to gain. They have nothing to lose, which makes them dangerous. In my opinion, I'd say we give Chase Wolf a couple series. If I see Coach Chris offense, if I see this offense do that, then I will say, okay, they are trying to make some improvements. They're trying to take the right step forward. Not saying you need to start Wolf over Mertz moving forward, but let's start developing both at the same time. And say, maybe we
practice. That's but game speed is one thing. Right. That's right. But you don't see Tua developing on the field. You see it in practice first. You don't see Cardale Jones being a better quarterback on the field. You see it in practice, and then it happens on the field. What
I was about to say at the end of that was maybe the Badgers ran out of time. I was going to say they ran out of time of trying to develop Mertz or trying to develop Wolf at the same time, and maybe this is the game where you do that. We're out of time. So I think you have to start possibly working on developing Wolf at the same time. Granted, you don't really get that development that we're talking about live during a game, but you do get some development. You do get a little bit. You get tape, you get film, you get to watch that, you get to watch yourself, and that's where you experience the development when you're watching the film and then you go to practice. If I see this Badger team put Wolf in the game, just give him a couple series, then I'll be like, okay.
The thing is, that might shatter Mertz's confidence.
I mean, and if it does, but here's the thing, though. But if it does, then you move on from him, because then he's not a quarterback. You have to, being a quarterback, you have to understand that if the offense sucks, you suck. You suck. You're the leader of the offense. That's just how it is with the quarterback role.
You're cold, and I like it. That's what we need. We need cold-blooded killers, and they ain't got it.
But that's what it is. And I think the coaches of Wisconsin gained so much from that. If you do put Wolf in a couple series and you see Mertz's head go down, you see Mertz's play go down when he goes back in, then it's like, okay, we have to move on, because I'm not here to develop your confidence. Yeah, you can kind of say, as a coach, I am, but quarterback position, you have to be mentally strong in between the ears. You have to be able to receive the criticism, you have to be able to perform well. Obviously perform well under pressure, but also direct well under pressure. It's just that simple. And so I think the Badgers football team, the coaches, everybody else, fans, gain a lot if Wolf goes in and Mertz's play declines.
I like it.
I think,
it's cold.
Why not?
It's necessary. And This is the game to do it. You don't do it during Notre Dame, right?
Dude, why do you think I was running so hard? I knew I had Melvin and James on my heels,
Well,
literally and
even
figuratively.
how you famously took the job over was the game before you didn't see the field. It
Didn't play a single snap. Exactly.
So that might be what they're doing with Berger. You never know.
At some point, it is out of the coach's hands.
Yep.
At some point, it is on the player. Are you going to take that next step or not? And I'm glad you brought that up because I didn't want to bring that up about myself. But yeah, 1 week I didn't play one single snap at all. Next week I start in prime time. Next week I got in
one ranked team
in the nation at home. Didn't play a single snap. The next week, both running backs ahead of me get injured. I go in, catch a crucial 4th and 3 catch.
One hand, and then scoop it off the ground. Like, it was a ridiculous catch.
And then score the game-winning touchdown. So this example, of course, is at some point, because again, I didn't play because I wasn't taking that next step. But at some point, the player has to just do it or step aside. And to some, that's cruel. But what other option does this coaching staff have?
Right. You're right.
There's no other option.
You need to know if you need to go out and get another quarterback because this guy just ain't it. And
there's no other option.
Sometimes it's just not. And you know what? That's okay. It's okay to be mediocre. That's just not what we want. And that's what we hope the coaching staff doesn't want. But we're afraid, based off of what we've seen, that they're okay with mediocre.
Yeah, exactly. And to end this, it's not like we're bashing Mertz. Again, we're not personally attacking Mertz. We're just stating that
I am personally attacking the UW football program. I want that stated right now, starting from the athletic.
Alvarez, he's gone now. So if this program continues on this decline, I mean, people are just going to want to point fingers. People are going to be pointing fingers and that's just not where we want to be. But before I get too long-winded, very important year for Badger football. But we all shall stay tuned.
I'm glad we had that discussion because that's one that obviously we could go on for another half hour about, and it's important.
It is.
And it's, what do we want out of the program? Do we want to be, I keep saying it, but do we want to be in Iowa? Do we want to be in Minnesota? Do we want to be in Northwestern? That every once in a while you have a Cinderella season, go to the Big Ten championship, possibility at a playoff, or do we want to constantly be battling for a playoff spot? I want to constantly battle for a playoff spot. Indeed.
At this point, we're battling for third place on our side.
Yeah. At this point, we're battling with Nebraska. We're not even battling with Iowa. So
we're battling for third place, like on our side
this year. I was good this year. You want to talk about developing a quarterback? I think they did it finally. So, and some
Ohio State does it.
How you recruit, right? Are you looking into the numbers, or are you in the mechanics and what you're seeing, or are you just saying, "Oh, this kid is supposed to be good. We should go get them." And that's another thing too that I don't know if it's been brought up when it recruits quarterbacks. Comes to recruiting quarterbacks. Do they even know really what they need to look for? Because that is an issue. That's something you've seen in the NFL level too, right? So that's something else to look at. To be continued next week.
That's a good question, though. Yeah, that'll be a great topic to pick up next week. Is what do Wisconsin recruiters look for when they're looking for a quarterback? It's a wonderful question.
Make a phone call, see if we get somebody on.
It's a wonderful question, actually, because I'm trying to envision myself, picture myself, I should say, as a recruiter, and I don't know, I'm just looking for somebody to facilitate and throw the ball 10, 15 yards. What are you looking for?
I mean,
because obviously what we're choosing,
Wisconsin quarterback, right?
Yeah. And again, I think from the recruiting to all of the above, we just need more. We do, and that's all I got on that. and we can move on.
I'm just gonna say we've had enough Brooks Bollinger, Scott Tolzie's. We'd like another Russell Wilson. And that's what Wisconsin fans are looking for now, because we've had a taste. And that should have been a national championship year, Brett Bielema. Right. And unfortunately it wasn't. And that's what we're asking for. So moving on, making waves again, because I think we just made a little bit of waves there. What's this with you quitting Twitter? The Broncos versus the Giants, Week 1 NFL.
I mean, obviously, so Trolling Tuesday is a big day for me. Wake up early.
For a couple weeks now.
I wake up early, crack my knuckles, go for a walk, get my coffee, crack my neck, and get ready to troll. It's a real thing, and it takes skill. It really takes skill, because going into trolling, you have to have thick skin. You have to have thick skin, so you have to put on that iron coat. You have to put it on. You have to put on that chainmail, what have you, because you're going to be taking some personal attacks, which I most definitely was. So I took a jab at the Giants, of course, and it was all over the news. Didn't know it was going to be picked up by the news.
Wait, it was picked up by the news?
Yeah, Giants Wire, dude, like out in New York, and
wow, I didn't know it was so popular,
dude. And so I am a Broncos fan before I even played for the Broncos. So long story short, because I've talked about this millions of times. I'm just rooting for my team, like everybody else is rooting for their team, and I just think that this Broncos defense is going to shut down this Giants offense. They got Saquon Barkley. This defense practices.
Who might not even play.
Yeah, exactly. They practice against a Melvin Gordon. Not as fast and shifty as Saquon, but still a threat. Still a fast running back and a threat. Other than that, this is an offense that this team is very, very familiar with. I think that the Broncos are going to have a cakewalk. This is going to be a cakewalk win for the Broncos, and Giants fans went ham at me. And I just said, hey, kept talking trash, of course, and obviously then I joking matter, I was like, well, if the Broncos do lose, then I'm most definitely going to have to delete my Twitter, because they are not going to let me live it down.
Well, but what you should have said is, what team has a better quarterback? Because that's the team that's going to win on Sunday. Daniel Jones or Teddy Bridgewater? I'll take Teddy right now.
Teddy is great on the road. He's 17-2 on the road in his career. 17-2.
Listen, with the Broncos playmakers, it's very under appreciated how good that offensive skill positions are. Right? Noah Fant, Jerry Jeudy, Cortland Sutton. People forget Cortland Sutton was an up and coming star before he tore his ACL. Right.
And even if KJ Hamler to rotate in,
right? Tim Patrick, Tim Patrick would be a number 2 on any other team, and he's a number 4
for sure. Exactly. And then obviously you got a dual threat running back, right?
Javonte Williams and Melvin Gordon.
This is a good offense. This is a good offense, and
all Teddy has to do is not make mistakes.
That's it. And just get the receivers the ball in open space. Obviously, that all depends on the play calling, but this is a fast receiving core with a really good running back who can get you those 4, 5, 6, and who could also take it 70. So I don't know what these Giants fans are talking about. Obviously, they're going to root for their team, but Broncos are coming out with the victory. Absolutely. They should. Okay. They most definitely should.
I'm going to look up that line quick. And do you know what it is offhand?
The bet line?
Yes.
I'll see right.
The Giants got to be favored. So let's say the Broncos are +3, which I don't know for sure. Oops, I clicked on the wrong thing. So here's my question. How much are you going to give Giants fans on this? Straight up, or are you going to bet the line?
So no, they got the... Ooh, what do they got?
Broncos, Giants. Broncos at Giants.
No, they got the Broncos favored, huh?
Really?
Am I reading this correct? Yeah. No. Yeah. Right? I'm reading this correctly, right? I'm not a gambler, but minus
I didn't find it yet.
158. That's the money line, the spread. So
Give me the
the
spread.
they think it's going to be.
What's
I
the
think it's going to
spread?
be close. It's +3 for the Giants, -3 Broncos. I think it's going to be close.
And Vegas is usually pretty on. So you have a road favorite,
I think it's going to be close.
a full field goal road favorite. That tells you that Vegas thinks that the Broncos are pretty far ahead of what the Giants have going on. And if Daniel Jones, still does what he did last year, they went out and got him a few new toys. Saquon Barkley's not even medically cleared to play yet. He hasn't even practiced fully. What do you think you're going to get from him? Besides nothing. Like,
against
a decoy.
The best defense in the league right now on paper.
So, yeah, I think you're set up pretty well. I don't think you were out of line. I didn't think you were mean about it.
I wasn't.
So,
we got Chubb, Von Miller, Shelby Harris, obviously our Kareem Jackson, Justin Simmons. I mean, our defense is looking really good against a banged up offense. And Daniel Jones, who knows?
The jury's kind of out on him. He's a little shifty, but that's about it.
That's about it. So, so this is to you Giants fans. Best believe I will be on Twitter Sunday, and I will be loud, and I will be proud, and I will be screenshotting, which I already have screenshotted some tweets, and I will be retweeting those.
My pearls! How dare you!
With a giant crow on a plate with a fork and knife for you to chow down on. But Trolling Tuesday, big day. What about the Packers, man?
I'm excited.
What about the Packers?
So Packers, Saints at Jacksonville. Packers at Saints.
Oh, that's right. It is in Jacksonville.
It's gonna be interesting. So Jameis is starting for the Saints. He won the job over Taysom Hill, which I think, from an offensive perspective, makes sense, right?
Yeah.
I think you can do more with Jameis than you can with Hill, and especially for your skill position players, which, besides Alvin Kamara, they really don't have anybody who's established. Marquez Callaway is like their number one right now. So the Packers' new look defense, that's going to be the story. Can the Saints get to Aaron Rodgers? Because the Packers' offensive line right now, no David Bakhtiari, rookie center, and a little bit of a question mark at right guard. How is that going to look? Or right tackle, I'm sorry, at right tackle. How is that going to look against a Saints team that generally gets pretty decent pressure? The thing is, Battle of Florida is so creative. I'm excited to see what they do this year, because what they came out with last year on that offense, everybody knows the Packers were solid, better than solid last year, with a bunch of number 4 receivers in Devontae Adams. Like,
right.
I'm excited to see what happens this year, what Matt LaFleur has put into his offense. That's going to be a new wrinkle to help this team out. And then the storyline is going to be the defense and how this new look defense is going to be, because you go from a heavy blitz Mike Patton defense to what I think is going to be a lot of 4-man pressures. How are those pressures going to come? How are you going to utilize Rashawn Gary, Preston Smith, and Zadarius Smith? Are you going to get all 3 of them on the field at the same time? Those are going to be interesting. You have some pieces to be a great defense. They do have some pieces to be a special defense. That corner on the opposite side of Jair, how are they going to do? How are they going to utilize Jair? Is he going to shadow, or is he going to stay to one side and just be like, shut down this side? We'll take care of the other side. You just shut this down. Like, that could be very interesting. I think the sky's the limit. Yeah. The Saints said that they moved the game to Jacksonville because it was the most expensive tickets from Green Bay to Jacksonville. But there's a huge Wisconsin retirement community in Florida there's going to be a lot of Packer fans at this game.
Absolutely.
There's going to be a lot of Packer fans at this game. I think that they underestimate how many Packer fans live in Florida.
Absolutely. I'll be honest, man.
It's going to be a tough game. Don't get me wrong. Sean Payton's a genius.
That the whole rookie center thing is that's a big deal because obviously the center, we all know he's calling some stuff out up there too.
The only
for the linemen,
Aaron Rodgers doing it for him.
That's right, but I just hope that he's able to, which I'm sure they obviously practice, and they probably limited the amount of adjustments that they'd make pre-snap due to his, him being a rookie.
Yeah.
But hopefully that doesn't.
Last time they had a rookie center, he was a Pro Bowler.
Right. True. Again, Packers should come out with the win, but I think that's going to be a battle. That's going to be a grind. It's going to be a grind.
If they lose, I'm not sounding the alarm like I am against the Badgers right now because A, first game of the season, B, not a single player played in the preseason, and C,
it's the Saints.
It's Aaron MF and Rodgers. Put some respect on the name. All right.
It's the Saints too. Saints is a damn, excuse my language, but a damn good organization.
They're very absolutely.
That's so
Sean Payton. Yeah. You want to talk about somebody who comes with wrinkles to an offense? Sean Payton. Sean Payton really brings a lot of wrinkles and is not afraid to get creative, not afraid to take things from other offenses and put it into his own.
Exactly.
I mean, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's two really good offensive minds going up against each other. And I enjoy every time the Packers play the Saints, even when they lose. But I'm still going to be down if they lose, obviously. We talked about that last Sunday. No matter what. But I'd take the Packers. I'd take the Packers.
Yeah, I'd take the Packers. I got the Packers as well. Yeah, it's gonna be interesting, and obviously we're gonna have a lot to talk about. Obviously, after this first week of football, obviously the Bucs Cowboys was a shootout. Dak, Tom Brady played like Tom Brady. Did some really good things. Did some poor things as well that his receivers bailed him out on. But Dak's a wrecking. He's a wrecking. He's a force he's giving it to people, and I think he's most definitely going to, I think, surpass the expectations that people have on him. And first game of the season, so maybe I'm speaking too prematurely, but that's a really good defense, the Bucs defense.
Yeah,
really good defense. And they were right there battling with them.
A really good defense until the final 3 weeks in the entire playoffs last year. So that's the thing. They might be a defense that takes a couple weeks to gel, a couple weeks to get the communication down. But they won, and that's all that matters. So that's all anybody's going to remember. I mean, we haven't even gotten to talk about the Brewers.
We'll save that for next time.
They just keep rolling. Baby.
They're rolling.
Grand slam hit today.
Jeez.
So
they're rolling.
Hopefully next week, audio, shooting for the audio to be better quality. Shooting for a little bit so you don't just see a closet behind me. A little bit better lighting. And every time I move, you won't see my camera move. I'm a little bit of a fidgeter, so
indeed
that happens. But you've been listening to Untapped Keg Sports featuring RJ Zimmerman and Monte Ball, the nose for the end zone himself.
Indeed.
Part of the Believe Podcast Network presented by Bet Online. Find us at Untapped Keg anywhere, social media, Google it. First thing that pops up. Find us on YouTube. Find us on all podcast services. Where can they find you, Monts?
You guys can find me on Twitter at MonteBall28, Instagram MonteBall. Please shoot us messages, topics, questions to myself, to our Untapped Keg pages, which are on the same similar platforms. And we'll most definitely get back to you. Most definitely. RJ, where can they find you?
You can find me at It's Trickster on Twitter, ITZ. The I is a 1 in Trickster. Any of the Untapped Keg handles, we'll try to get back to you as soon as we can.
Indeed.
Life is busy right now, so it might be a little bit longer than it normally would be, but we'll try to do our best. And you know what? Check out our Sunday show about mental health and sobriety. And we keep that light, but we get into serious topics as well.
Mm-hmm.
Let's have a good weekend. Enjoy some football. And remember, it's supposed to be fun. Let's have some fun. So, catch you guys next week.